Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The city of San Antonio wants to put a 2-mile buffer around the Toyota plant that would limit new development to industrial and commercial uses only.
So what does that mean for people who already live there or close by? It has proven to be a controversial proposal, with neighbors packing the room at a recent hearing. So with that in mind, right now the city hosting a community meeting at the Texas A&M San Antonio campus. The city says they're using these sessions as listening sessions and may incorporate some of the input into their recommendations.
But Garrett Berger tells us the city's also trying to convince neighbors that it may not be as bad of an idea as they think or may have heard.
And if y'all would give your name and address when you come up to speak.
It was clear from the crowd and the comments at May's Zoning Commission meeting that a proposed industrial compatibility overlay district was not popular.
If this happens, what's going to happen to the value of the house? Can I sell it in the future and be able to move and relocate somewhere else in San Antonio or in the surrounding area in Texas?
Toyota wants a buffer on to get the checkbook out and they can make it happen.
Commissioners kicked their decision on the buffer zone down the road to July 16th. In the meantime, the city's trying to sell neighbors on the proposal.
The concern is we don't think that residential is appropriate in a burgeoning industrial district.
In general, new commercial and residential development would be severely restricted in this area. There are exceptions. For example, county residents within the buffer zone would not be affected. Not unless the city annexes their land anyway. And even within the city limits, people will be able to stay in their existing homes.
Folks who live on the south side have been telling us about various letters that they've received that have stated that you're going to lose the right to use your property, you're going to have, the city's eminent domaining you and those sorts of things. Those are just simply not true. And
while new homes generally wouldn't be able to be built, a city FAQ spells out some specific exceptions, including some properties that could even be subdivided, which has been a concern for some.
Especially when you have acreage that you bought to improve and then to hand over to your children, or to subdivide when we were not here anymore, they got older.
And despite the confusion and concern from neighbors in the area, Nino believes the city has done substantial outreach.
I think that the issue is, again, making sure that we are providing those avenues so that folks can get that information, and then number 2, correcting the misinformation that they've actually been hearing about.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Coming up tonight on the Night Beat, we talked to some of those neighbors about their concerns for this proposed buffer zone.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says it's happened again. A domestic dispute ending in deadly violence, this time at an apartment complex on Wood Lake Parkway near Seguin Road and Lakeview Drive. Sheriff's deputies say they found a woman in her 30s around 8 this morning, face down on the floor of her home with multiple gunshot wounds to her back. They say her husband had called 911 from a nearby convenience store saying he shot her in self-defense. Deputies took custody of both the man and the gun at that convenience store.
Additionally, deputies found a 6-month-old infant here inside of the home at the time of the shooting, who was unharmed.
The woman died from her wounds at a hospital. The man taken in for questioning could face criminal charges. About a month ago, a man in Northwest Bexar County who shot and killed his wife was charged with murder. He had claimed it was an accident.
Our local domestic violence crisis is no secret. We have reported extensively on that issue here, and we have tracked a court-ordered commission since it began back in 2019. The Collaborative Commission on Domestic Violence includes leaders countywide.
Courtney Friedman taking a look at the major goals they've hit and what big gaps they still need to fill. This is part of Courtney's series, Confronting Domestic Violence, Loving in Fear.
Over the last 5 years, you've seen KSAT do countless stories on the Collaborative Commission on Domestic Violence, joining leaders from law enforcement and judicial to health and education. We even did 2 town halls that included their work. They made some lofty goals since they began in 2019, and we've been tracking their progress. And they're tracking it themselves. They just presented their resume to the county commissioners, listing what big changes they've made.
Improving the protective order process for all of those involved, improving the justice system process, expanding legal capacity for families dealing with domestic violence on the civil side.
The commission co-chair, Judge Monique Diaz, knows the protective order process has come under fire for years, so survivors are celebrating these changes.
We have shortened the time period to serve respondents with protective orders, increasing safety for those families, created a process whereby individuals applying for protective orders can do it online. that was not available before.
The community's other huge concern, interaction with law enforcement, now getting more extensive trauma training and tools to assess danger.
To be able to determine if somebody needs to be removed from a situation that could endanger their lives and the lives of their families.
Maria Villagomez is the other commission co-chair and the City of San Antonio's deputy city manager. She's proud of all these accomplishments, but knows there's still a lot of work to do. That will now be heavily based off survivors themselves.
To be able to do a survey and ask them how are we doing.
The other goals involve educating the community.
That involves social media. We want to meet people where they are. And lastly, a focus on educating families early in life on what a healthy relationship is or is not.
Preventing violence from happening in the first place. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there is help out there. If it's an emergency, text or dial 911. We also have an extensive list of resources on our website, ksat.com/domestic violence. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now, and it will take you to that website. Yesterday on the News at 6, we told you about how the building that previously housed the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs was set to be demolished. Those plans are now on hold. Today, a Wilson County judge granted a temporary restraining order that halts the demolition for the time being. It's been nearly 7 years since 26 people were shot and killed during a Sunday service here. This follows a lawsuit that was filed in May that alleges some members of the church weren't allowed to vote on the building's future. The temporary restraining order pauses that demolition until the lawsuit is settled. The church can appeal it if it chooses to.
A convicted sex offender who was escorted into a city park by Bexar County deputies is now accused of violating the sex offender registry. Court records show that Xavier Lopez was arrested last month for failing to report his home address. We first told you about Lopez back in May after KSAT Investigates revealed that he was let into Tom Slick Park as deputies searched for a missing mother and her son. Lopez was part of a rehabilitation group that provides sports drinks and water to law enforcement at scenes. SAPD investigators found out in March that Lopez was not living at the address he listed on the sex offender registration. A warrant for his arrest was issued in May.
The man convicted last week of shooting at San Antonio police officers in 2022 will now spend more than 3 decades in prison. Earlier today, a judge sentenced Celadino Saldana to 37 years for attempted capital murder of a police officer and 20 years for aggravated assault of a peace officer. Those will run concurrently. Saldana fired shots at officers 2 years ago. The officers returned fire and hit him. He's now paralyzed from the waist down. Saldana must serve half his sentence before he's eligible for parole.
Meantime, in another courtroom, a judge today hearing a motion for a retrial for a woman convicted of starving her stepson to death. Miranda Casares was found guilty last month of injury to a child and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Her stepson, 4-year-old Benjamin Cervera, died in 2021 from what was ruled starvation. Her attorney today told the judge that the DA's office withheld important medical records.
Were harmful to my client, harmful to her case in chief, in that her experts, Dr. Gephardt and Dr. Anderson, were not able to review those records.
The state argued that all records were available and the defense did not do their job in looking for them. In the end, the judge sided with the state and that motion for a retrial was denied.
Texas Representative Lloyd Doggett has become the first Democratic member of Congress to call for President Joe Biden to step down as the party's nominee. In a statement, Doggett cited the president's performance at the debate against Donald Trump. He said in part, quote, "The president failed to effectively defend his many accomplishments and expose Trump's many lies." This comes as a new CNN poll shows 3/4 of voters surveyed said the Democratic ticket would have a better chance of beating Trump with a different candidate. In a face-to-face matchup in the poll performed by SSRS, 49% of people said they prefer Trump over 43% for Biden. That's the same result of a CNN national poll taken in April, by the way. The Biden campaign maintains the president will not drop out of the 2024 race.
New data from the Department of Homeland Security shows illegal crossings at the southern border are now at a 3-year low. Homeland Security officials say Border Patrol agents apprehended 84,000 migrants last month. That is the lowest since January of 2021. June also marked the 4th consecutive month of a decline in crossings. Officials have attributed that drop to President Biden's border executive action restricting asylum access to migrants crossing the border illegally.
And as we take a look outside, Adam, obviously we are tracking Hurricane Beryl and where exactly this storm's going to end up.
Yeah, and that's the big question, is where's it going to end up? It's still too far away for the science of meteorology to say exactly right here once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico and thereafter. So I'm going to have the update. I'm just assembling some extra graphics to explain this and what's going on. But I do want to point out today was our 10th 100-degree day. We made it to 102. Still near 100 degrees through Friday. Then temperatures take a little bit of a dip with some of the uncertainty with what will be the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Rain. We do have a glimmer of hope starting on Saturday for a few pop-up showers, and then it all hinges on where Beryl or its remnants will end up. By Sunday, Monday timeframe, we're talking Mexico or Texas as the most likely scenarios. We'll be back with it all and the forecast path in just a bit.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thanks, Adam. Let's take a look at traffic right now. This is 410 at Cherry Ridge. You can see down in the shadows there that looked like a tow truck that just pulled away with the remnants of an accident. Police cruisers making their way out of the scene as well. We saw a couple of cars there off to the side and traffic slowing down as it made its way around that trouble spot at 410 and Cherry Ridge.
You know, we're just a couple of days away from the 4th of July, and right now on KSAT.com, we have a list of places in San Antonio and surrounding areas where you can watch fireworks. Celebration at Woodlawn Lake Park will be back this year. Also celebrations in Alamo Heights and on Houston Street. For a full list, scan the QR code on your screen.
Still ahead here on the news at 6, a look at the devastation caused already by Hurricane Beryl in the Caribbean as that storm makes its way toward Jamaica now.
But first, let's take a live look outside with live cam meteorologist Adam Caskey. Is going to talk about the haze still in our area and more on Beryl. Where's the consensus now on where this storm will end up once it hits the Gulf? Coming up.
Hurricane Beryl turning in the Caribbean, leaving a deadly path of destruction in its wake already. At last check, 6 people have now died.
Island communities have been devastated by strong winds, heavy rain. As Lee Waldman explains, the historic storm heading towards Jamaica now.
The death toll from Hurricane Beryl is rising, with fear that will continue as the powerful storm destroys island communities in the Caribbean.
The island has been flattened. The reports that are coming out show a very, very distressing signal.
Beryl has left parts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with no electricity or water. Buildings, homes, and boats all torn to pieces. In Barbados, people are struggling to cope with the devastation.
This is madness. I have never seen this in my 46 years of life. This is madness.
The powerful hurricane is making history as the earliest Category 5 storm in the Atlantic hurricane season, with unusually warm waters adding fuel to the storm system. Jamaican officials are activating disaster response protocols in anticipation of Wednesday's landfall. They're warning people about life-threatening winds and storm surge.
The weeks and the months ahead, as the islanders try to recover what they can of their lives and livelihoods, will be a significant challenge for them.
I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
So many people already being affected by that storm. We're watching it to see what's going to happen as it gets closer to us, Adam.
Yeah, and it is going to slowly weaken a little bit as it heads westward through the Caribbean. It's going to encounter some drier air, some wind shear aloft, and then interact with the Yucatan Peninsula, which will further weaken it. The question is then, does it re-strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico? It's my experience that these systems have an easy time doing that, and sometimes the hot sea surface temperatures can offset other influential factors to help them re-establish themselves and strengthen. But that's still too far off. Let's get to where Beryl is now, where it's headed, and what's going to steer it, and what we're watching in particular that is far away from Beryl to really push its remnants to either Mexico or Texas. This is the latest satellite imagery, and it is affecting Haiti and Dominican Republic. Just the strongest winds are offshore and going to remain offshore there. Category 4, max sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. It's going to scrape against Jamaica, maybe even the eye wall hitting Jamaica. There's the potential for that. But then what we're watching is a gradual weakening toward the Yucatan Peninsula on Friday early morning. Landfall somewhere likely along the Yucatan Peninsula. Think of Cancun southward down toward Belize. Whenever these interact with land, they lose their energy. They get shredded apart a little bit with the friction of the ground, and they don't have the warm waters to sustain them, so they weaken. So it's likely to be a tropical storm then as it emerges into the southern Gulf of Mexico. But there's still significant uncertainty as to where it's going to go then. I know nowadays with all of our technology, people like to think, well, why can't you tell us? I mean, what we should know. Meteorology isn't there, okay? Doesn't matter all the technology in the world. It's not there. But it's still, to me, impressive that we can know this far out. By Sunday, this tropical storm could be anywhere from roughly Corpus Christi to Port Mansfield, Brownsville, or down into Mexico. And we know one thing we look at are these spaghetti plots, and we like to share them with you. You always have some outliers. What we look for are general trends, and the trend was a little southward. Now it's inching northward a bit, but there's still a big spread in where this or the remnants could go. And again, it's the trends that we'll be watching. Best case scenario, it's a weak, unorganized system that throws us some much needed rain. Here's one of the steering factors. You know, our big blue H, the upper level high, it's just east of us right now over Mississippi. This is going to slide eastward over Florida in the days ahead, and that's going to open the door for Beryl to move into the Gulf of Mexico. One big question is exactly how far east does that upper high go? You often hear about the European model, the American model, the GFS and whatnot. They're two completely different solutions right now, which is another reason why you look at those spaghetti plots. But either way, that's the big question mark. How far east does the big blue H go? And we also have another big blue H upper level high over the Four Corners, which creates a bit of a block here in parts of Texas and a bit of a call, C-O-L, in the atmosphere. So time's going to tell. These are the factors that we're watching. Again, ideal situation, we get some rain. But right now we know Yucatan Peninsula as a Cat 1, maybe Cat 2 on Friday. Saturday, it's in the Gulf of Mexico as a tropical storm. And then Sunday and Monday, it's uncertain in terms of its strength and location of where it goes and where it brings its rain thereafter, and potentially some higher surf as well. 78 in the morning tomorrow, 99 for the high temperature, 100 in Sabinal, 97 in Bulverde, and hey, Thursday is going to be pretty much the same. I mean, shocking, right? Repetitive weather right now. But for the fireworks, a little gusty, gusts up to 25 miles per hour, temperatures near 90, then falling into the 80s. And our rain chances right now, Saturday, Sunday, a few pop-ups at 20% and 30% Monday for Beryl. So obviously not much confidence in that forecast yet.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
All right. The men's soccer team not happy after being kicked out of their own host. I mean, they're the host of this Copa America. Not good.
Yeah, especially with so much anticipation for this team. The World Cup right around the corner. A disappointing run, to say the least, at the Copa America tournament. And it's creating tension for one man in particular, Greg Berhalter. We'll hear from him coming up. Plus, after word that Chris Paul is headed to the Spurs, San Antonio's young Summer League players are excited to learn from the future Hall of Famer. Stay with us.
Starting 5. Okay. Manu.
For me, I know I want to learn as much as I can, get as much as I can out of this game.
Free kick for Uruguay.
We're all going to do a review of the whole tournament and see where we fell short. You know, it's obvious that the Panama game hurt us, put us.
Starting 5. Okay. Manu. Tim Duncan. Robinson. Kawhi. And Tony probably. I'm not putting any current players in.
How do you like Jeremy Sohan's Spurs all-time starting 5? Sohan is with Poland right now with hopes of qualifying for the Olympics. Meanwhile, back here in San Antonio, Summer League preparations are underway in big board sports. This morning at the Spurs practice facility, we got a nice look inside San Antonio's Summer League preparations leading up to Saturday's action on the West Coast. Fourth overall pick Stephon Castle is already making a strong impression on Summer League head coach Kenny Trevino, who says Castle is keeping an even keel and shooting the ball with confidence. Now, San Antonio's Summer League roster has plenty of intrigue beyond the rookies. Two-way player David Duke Jr., who the Spurs recently made a restricted free agent, is coming off of a strong G League season. Duke Jr. sharing today his excitement to soon get to learn from veteran point guard Chris Paul.
For me, I know I want to learn as much as I can, get as much as I can out of this game before I'm done playing. So, yeah, I'll definitely be asking CP a lot of questions. Chris Paul is a legend, right? I think a Hall of Famer in my opinion. So I think I'm very excited that he's going to be here, being able to pick his brain, you know, in terms of the point guard side or just the guard side in general, someone to look after and, well, to look, you know, at his game and kind of pick after and things like that. So it should be really good. I'm excited.
Well, speaking of excitement, Trevino is excited about the opportunity to coach the Summer League squad. 31-year-old Trevino is a Laredo native and UTSA grad who climbed up the basketball ranks from being a Spurs ball boy to now serving as San Antonio's head video coordinator. Very cool. All right, last night, the United States men's national team failed to even match its last Copa America appearance, suffering elimination and humiliation as the host nation in the tournament. The U.S. fell 1-0 to Uruguay on a questionable second-half goal that appeared to be offsides. Now, this result increasing pressure to remove U.S. head coach Greg Berhalter, who was rehired in June of 2023.
We're all going to do a review of the whole tournament and see where we fell short. You know, it's obvious that the Panama game hurt us, put us behind the 8 ball. And, you know, I think collectively, the staff, the players, the sporting department, you know, we need to look at where do we improve? How do we do better? It's not the aspirations that we have as a group. We know it's a talented team with big potential, and we didn't show it in this tournament.
In terms of the review, do you think you'll be given the opportunity to conduct that review?
That's not up to me, Jeff, right? We know that.
Coach Berhalter did continue to say throughout the press conference that he believes he is still the right guy for the job. The 2026 World Cup is just 2 years away, so time is ticking to figure it out.
Yeah, and figure it out fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're going to make a change, now's the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mary.
All right, speaking of sports, coming up next, questions about that possible downtown Spurs arena and who's going to pay for that. It's in our KSAT Q&A next. Hello, Mayor.
Hi, Myra. Hi, Steve.
Mr. Mayor.
Am I coming through clearly?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. You seem to.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I mean, as clearly as you ever do. I mean, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just
well
kidding.
Well played, Steve.
Just
Thank you.
kidding. Yeah, you're welcome. So we want to talk about the latest developments with the Spurs. Obviously, the newspaper's reporting some things. I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know what you can say and what you can't say.
I'll tell you exactly where we're at. You know, and obviously there are conversations happening. The paper seems intent on printing something anytime anybody looks like makes a glance.
Yes.
In a way that looks suspicious. So
yes.
I would say there's not been a whole lot of developments that frankly have risen to that level, but you know, I'm happy to talk about where we are.
Well, my big question is, and what caught my attention, and we're going to talk about kind of the mechanisms for how we can make this work a little bit too. But what caught my attention is, are you even to the point where you're able to say who's going to pick up this amount of the cost and who's going to pick up that amount of the cost?
We are not. We are not. And that's the thing, is that, if we were to have every conversation, every speculative conversation out loud in the open, it would be over before it started, because a lot of these obviously are economic development type negotiations.
Time now for our KSAT Q&A, and we're pleased to be joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg just before the 4th of July holiday. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us. I want to talk first off about the San Antonio Spurs, and so much discussion about an arena, about the Institute of Texan Cultures, about how it would be connected possibly to the convention center. Where are we in the process right now when it comes to a new Spurs arena?
Well, you say you want to talk about the Spurs. I thought you wanted to talk about Castle and the Chris Paul deal, but
well, we can talk about that too.
Look,
but yeah,
I understand the interest. I understand the concern. I understand the anticipation. Look, the San Antonio Spurs are a foundational part of this community's identity, and we want to make sure that the Spurs have a bright future in San Antonio. I will tell you that for the last couple of years, we've been working on various aspects of improvement of downtown. That includes the growth of UTSA. That includes the Hemisphere Park redevelopment. It also includes the upcoming improvements to both the Convention Center and the Alamo Dome to keep those modern facilities continue to generate revenue, as well as great activities and events for this community. So in the midst of that discussion, we're also looking out into the horizon and seeing that, there is a potential opportunity to bring the Spurs back downtown. So we are obviously interested in having a comprehensive conversation about how that could all work. But as far as speculation about any kind of deal that's been arranged or anything like that, that is purely speculation. There is no deal. I can understand the concern and the interest in something like that coming together. And obviously, when there is one, we will have lots of public discussions about it. But these are all speculation right now. There's nothing new public to share. When there is, we will certainly have a lot of conversations. But needless to say, a lot's going on in downtown. Part of that discussion is there an opportunity to bring the Spurs back down for the future? And we're working towards a semblance of a conversation that we can begin to have publicly and begin to hear input.
To follow up on that and follow up on what you just said, I mean, the San Antonio Express News has done a number of articles about what may or may not be in this. One of the things that caught my attention from Sunday was the fact that they're saying the Spurs are only going to pick up 1/5 of the price of a new arena. Are we even there yet? Are we even talking about, who's going to pick up X, Y, or Z?
We are not there yet. And that's part of the challenge is that, first of all, having a goal, having a vision about how we want to comprehensively improve downtown is one thing. How to make that happen and implement all the various aspects of that. And again, it's not just about facilities. We also have to talk about, roadway improvements, how the utility infrastructure would work. We've talked on this program about the fact that, one of the planning grants that we submitted for is potentially to create a bridge over 37. There's a lot of different things that are happening downtown, but to talk about, how we're going to pay for an arena and the suggestion that we already have a deal and how much all of that would cost is not accurate and entirely speculative. There will be a day when we talk about that stuff, and when there is something to talk about, we will certainly be doing that publicly. But we are far before that point at this time.
Mayor, I want to move on to another topic that we wanted to ask you about. The Supreme Court's recent ruling that paves the way for cities to either continue or begin citing people who are sleeping in public. A lot of conversation about how this impacts our homeless population. We wanted to know what the impact was going to be to San Antonio. We have had an ordinance on the books that allows for citations to be given to people who are camping in public for close to 20 years now. You were critical of the Supreme Court's ruling, saying it paves the way to criminalize homelessness. We ask SAPD how many times that ordinance we already have is being used. Here's a look at some of the citation numbers that we got back from them over the past couple of years, and that 2024 number that's within the first 6 months of this year. I was kind of surprised by that. More citations than I expected to be handed out for this. Do you feel like this is an effective strategy for us here in San Antonio? You feel like it's working and one you want to see continue?
So we have not permitted public camping for, as you said, 2 decades now. If that was our only strategy, just to criminalize that part of the homeless situation, it would be grossly ineffective. And that's kind of what we're seeing in some other communities. The reason why San Antonio has had an effective strategy, and again, this is something every community is facing, and there's criticisms about our approach and the fact that we still have to continue to improve in this area. But the reason why San Antonio has done so well with regard to responding to the homeless situation relative to our peers is because we've used a two-pronged strategy. Not only do we not permit public camping, we also work to ensure that there are resources and outreach and services to folks who find themselves unhoused. Because as we know, people who are unhoused need a lot of assistance, not just economic. A lot of times there's health issues, mental health issues, there's substance abuse issues. We go and make sure that when we deal with homeless encampments, that we're providing services to get folks back on their feet so they don't find themselves in the same situation in another location. If the only solution, if the only tactic we used was just to sweep encampments, we would just be moving the problem from one point to another in our community or in other communities. So that's the criticism, is that we focus solely on the criminality or the prohibition and don't couple it with the services that are necessary to actually deal fundamentally with the challenge of homelessness, and we're missing the boat.
One more question before we let you go, Mr. Mayor. I want to talk quickly about the nonstop flights from San Antonio to Reagan National. I know the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, has already started taking, if I'm correct, applications from cities that would like to have some of these nonstops. How confident are you that San Antonio will be one of those ultimately? And what's the timeline for when we're going to know?
Well, I'm as confident as I can be with anything that occurs in our political atmosphere. And, that's challenging these days. But I will tell you that every single member of the Texas delegation, that includes very vocal Republicans and Democrats, are supporting our application for a nonstop flight to DCA because of the military traffic, the needs of our command staff and the Pentagon and all the other military components, as well as the business community and residents of this city to get to and from Reagan National. The application period is open. We have American Airlines, who is going to be filing for the DCA SAT connection. And, according to how the rules are written, we have high confidence that one of those slots is going to go to Americans. So I think we look good, and I'm very confident. We've got to play this all the way to the end. The applications close, I believe, early next week. And so we need everyone in the community, again, to help us move this across the finish line. But again, we look very good. It's a broad coalition that's supporting this, and I think it would be good not only for the San Antonio community, but also for national defense, given the military needs of going back and forth between Military City, USA, and our capital region.
Any idea when we're going to hear of a decision?
There's a shot clock of 60 days from when the president signed the bill, and that goes back now probably a month. So it should be very soon after the application period closes. And my guess is they crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's before they open the application period, because they expect to make a decision very soon. So light the candles, cross the fingers, and let's pull this across the finish line. It's taken a long time to get there.
Yes, it has. Mayor, thanks so much for your time.
Well, sorry we ran out of time to talk about Stefan Castle and Chris Paul. We'll do that next time.
I'm sure we'll find time.
Yeah, we'll find time. We'll be right back. All right, obviously a lot of discussion about what's happening in the Gulf, but first let's talk about what's happening right here, right now, and that is the Saharan dust that we're seeing in our skies.
Yeah, very noticeable yesterday, still noticeable today with the haze off in the distance. You see that haze this afternoon. Don't see downtown quite as clearly as usual. Now, the dust is thinning out slowly and will do so for a couple of days, but it's going to be very noticeable as we get into the upcoming weekend. Check out this more dense plume of dust. It's on our doorstep Saturday afternoon, late Saturday into early Sunday. You'll really notice the haze in the sky from that dust and more vibrant sunrises and sunsets. The latest on Beryl and the sea surface temperatures in the Gulf, how they compare to average, how they could impact that system in just a bit.
Okay, I felt like the dust was actually noticeable. My eyes just felt kind of gritty. You know, when you wake up, they do.
I don't, not from the dust. I don't know.
Oh, I did. I had to use my eye drops.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. I thought you meant like, Gritty.
What is
that? Oh, like the Philadelphia Flyers?
Like everybody. Everybody does the Gritty now.
Yeah.
Well, ask your sons. They'll know the Gritty.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But thank you for the demonstration.
Well, that was an okay demonstration.
So by Thursday night, when the fireworks are going and everything, we're not going to have to worry about dust
Steve wants us
and
to
all that stuff, right? No, I listen, Gritty dancing's great. I could spend the rest of the half hour on it, but
I can get a hint. I can get a hint, yes. We won't have to worry about the dust for that, and we won't have to worry about the weather. Just a little breezy for fireworks. Otherwise, it's more of the same. I want to talk more about Beryl. Hurricane Beryl, Category 4. We talked about this earlier. I'm going to share the path with you. It's going to be impacting Jamaica by Wednesday, and then, which would be tomorrow, and then thereafter gradually weakening, likely to gradually weaken a bit as it heads toward the Yucatan Peninsula. And once it's interacting with land over the Yucatan Peninsula, significantly weakening, most likely into a tropical storm. Then emerging into the Gulf of Mexico on Saturday. And the question is, Saturday into Sunday, as it heads toward Mexico or Texas, does it re-strengthen at all? And if so, how much? And of course, exactly where does it go from there? It could be anywhere from Matagorda Bay to Brownsville to down into eastern Mexico. Really, anything is at play right now. Here's one factor we look into in terms of the potential for more development, and that's the sea surface temperatures or water temperatures out in the Gulf of Mexico. And you sample some of these sea surface temperatures, and we're talking 84 degrees, maybe even a little bit warmer there, 85 degrees. Remember, it takes a minimum water temperature of 80 degrees to have any hurricane development. The warmer you get from there, even just incrementally by a degree, it makes a big impact on hurricane strengthening. Now, I will say these numbers, these sea surface temperatures, aren't all that far above average for this time of year. I shared these sea surface temperatures a couple months ago and was showing how they were about 4 or 5 degrees above average. But for this time of year, they're not that significantly above average. Let's go right there into the Central Gulf. Exactly average for this time of year at about 84 degrees. The thing is, as it gets closer to land, that changes a little bit. You see these reds right along the Texas coast? These are higher than average sea surface temperatures, and it's our experience that once these tropical systems do get closer, they can strengthen pretty quickly. Steering flow will be the big blue H, the upper level high over Mississippi. That's sliding eastward, and that opens the door for Beryl to first come into the Gulf and then potentially Texas or eastern Mexico. Basically, right now, it's between one of the two. Question is, how far east does that go to open the door enough for Beryl or its remnants, which would be just some beneficial rain, to move into our neck of the woods? We're also watching this upper level high over the Four Corners. So a lot that still needs to be worked out and figured out. This is the science of meteorology, people. It's not magic, and it can't bring you all the answers we want this far out. But we're looking at slight rain chances starting this weekend, 20% Saturday, Sunday, slightly higher Monday in hopes of some moisture from Beryl.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Bionic legs coming up in the buzz. A bionic leg fully controlled by the human nervous system has demonstrated natural walking speeds and steps. This is amazing stuff. That's according to a new study published in the journal Nature Medicine. The neuroprosthesis uses sensors placed between the reconstructed amputation site and the bionic leg to transmit electrical signals.
Yeah, the prosthetic can sense its position and movement and then send that information back to the patient. According to this study, patients with specialized amputation and neuroprosthetics increase their walking speed 41%, and that's enough to match the range and ability of the average person.
Man, how great would it be?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We are just 2 days away, of course, from the 4th of July, and that means fireworks. So to remind us all about fireworks safety, the Consumer Product Safety Commission is blowing up dummies to show the damage that fireworks can do.
Yeah. Dummies sometimes grapefruit, watermelon. The agency saw 9,700 firework injuries last year. They would like to avoid more mishaps and mayhem. So when you launch those bottle rockets on the 4th of July, be smart. Like your mom always said, don't shoot your eye out.
We'll be right back.
All right, watching Hurricane Beryl as it heads toward the Yucatan, weakening, and then likely a tropical storm into the Gulf by Saturday. And then it's really anywhere from eastern Mexico to parts of Texas could be impacted by it. And, you know, if it were up to me, I'd say just bring us some remnant showers and that's it. Time will tell.
Yep, a lot to watch. Thanks for watching.
See you at 10.